Hey bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 books that I read in the spring and summer of 2021. So these kind of videos are what I call my seasonal wrap-ups, and usually I only do one season. It's where I rank all of the books that I read in that season in the order of my enjoyment, and for my top 5 books of that season, I'll go into more detail about why I enjoyed those books so much. I haven't really been making videos very consistently over the last few months. If you don't know, I was pregnant for all of this year and I just had a baby back in August, so I'm just now starting to try and get back on my feet. And I also wasn't doing a lot of reading during most of this year. So the reason why I'm doing a spring and summer wrap-up is because I only read 5 books in the summer. So I also didn't do one of these for spring, so it just made sense to combine them. So this is going to be going over the books that I read from March through the end of August of 2021. I will link any monthly wrap-ups that I did for these books in the description box. I think I have them for March, April, and May. So the spring. I didn't really do any wrap-ups for the summer. You can always go check out those wrap-ups if you want more thoughts on the books that I don't go in depth on in this video. And I will of course have timestamps down below so you can jump around to the parts of the video that you are most interested in watching. So I have a total of 18 books that I read, or at least attempted to read, like picked up in the spring and the summer. Like I said, I've read 5 books in the summer, so then 13 in the spring. But out of these 18, one of those books was a DNF, or a book that I chose not to finish because I was not enjoying it. One is a book that I paused, which is like a soft DNF, where I decided that I didn't want to read it right now, but that I might pick it up in the future. And none of the books that I read in the spring and summer were rereads. Rating wise, this is how all of my ratings panned out. I did have 1 2-star read, which was my DNF. I had 2 3-star reads. I had 9 4-star reads and 5 5-star reads, which made picking out my top 5 really easy for this video. It's only 17 ratings because I didn't rate the book that I paused because I didn't finish it. So the book that I put on pause, which like I said is a book that I put down for now but might pick up in the future, just really wasn't working for me, at least at the time, and that was The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, and I didn't give that book a rating. At the bottom of my list is my 2-star read, which was my DNF, and that was Malice by Heather Walters. This is a YA fantasy book. I actually had an advanced reader copy of this that I got from NetGalley, so thank you to the publishers for giving me an advanced copy in exchange for an honest review, but I did not enjoy this book and I gave it 2 stars. Then my 2 3-star reads were A Dead Djinn in Cairo by P. Jelly Clark and The Wolf and the Whale by Jordana Max Brodsky. Moving on to my 4-star reads, and I don't think I said this earlier, but these are not only in like star number rating, but literally in order of my enjoyment. So from the bottom of my 4 stars to the top of my 4 stars, since I had a lot of 4 stars. So at the bottom of my 4-star list, which looking back on it, I feel like it's more of a 3-star for me, but whatever. Sometimes you feel differently about books when you think back on it, but that would be a nonfiction book. It was Drop the Ball by Tiffany Dufu, and then I had Haunting of Tramcar 15 by P. Jelly Clark, followed by Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, then Survive the Night by Riley Sager, Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, Broken Girls by Simone St. James, Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, Jade City by Fonda Lee, and then my favorite 4-star book that I read in the spring and the summer was The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. Okay, so that brings me to my top 5 books that I read in the spring and the summer. So my least favorite of my 5-star reads was Midnight Library by Matt Haig. So this was a book that I read for my work book club, and it's kind of like a it's not a contemporary, I don't know, maybe a contemporary fantasy, because there is like a fantastical element to it. But it's basically one of those books about like if you could make different choices in your life, how would those different versions of your life look, and would they make you happier than you are in your current version of your life. I will give a content warning for like depression and suicide. That kind of is touched on at the very beginning of the book, and going into it I didn't realize that because I didn't read the blurb or like know anything about this book, but it is mentioned in the synopsis of the book. But basically, this girl gets to explore different versions of her life to see if she would be happier in any of those versions, and I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that the book had a really good message, which is basically about, you know, appreciating what you have and not like spending so much time regretting the choices that you made, because you might not actually be happier if you had made a different choice. I really enjoyed this book a lot more than I expected. I mean, I've heard good things about Matt Haig before, but I haven't read any of his books before. But this one also made for a really good conversation book for our book club. And while it does touch on some heavy topics, like struggles with your family relationships or like death within your family members with substance abuse problems. There's a lot of heavy stuff in it, but at the same time it has like a good message, and I ended the book feeling really good about having read it. And yeah, I thought it was really touching. I really enjoyed the experience of reading it. I really enjoyed talking about it with my coworkers. And if you like reading stories about like alternate universes, it's not like super sci-fi-y, but that's basically the idea behind it. You know, you make different choices and have different versions of your life. I think there's a new TV show, like Ordinary Joe or something, that's kind of about the same thing. I saw a commercial for that show like not too long after having read this book and was like, oh wow, look at that. But that's like a trope or something that I enjoy reading, and so that definitely helped me to enjoy this book more. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it had some good messages, and I definitely want to read more Matt Haig in the future. Okay, the next book on my list is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Liveship Traders trilogy, which I have been reading and really enjoying. I'm already kind of a sucker for Robin Hobb, but this trilogy is a little different from the Farseer trilogy, because it's got a cast of characters instead of just being from one character's point of view. So this is set in well, it's the same world as the Farseer trilogy, but it's in a different part of the world that we hadn't discovered yet, really. In this part of the world, there are these ships that are made with a magical wood, and if 3 members or 3 generations of a family die on one of these ships made out of this special wood, the ship comes to life and becomes a live ship. The story really focuses around one family, but there are other characters too. I don't know, this book and series is really hard for me to talk about. I just love it so much. Robin Hobb is known for being a really character-driven writer. Like, her books are very character focused, and she has great character work, and that really like hit home for me with this book. I remember I was like 10% into it and something happens and I just started bawling. I cried so much based on this one thing that happened, and I just remember sitting there thinking, like, how can I be so emotional about something that happened to this character? I barely know this character. I just started this trilogy. I'm 10% into the first book, and I just had so many emotions already. And that's just Robin Hobb for you. Like, she can just evoke so many emotions about characters from me. Not only like emotions of love, but also emotions of hate. There are characters in this book and in this series that I just hate so much, and I just want bad things to happen to them. But I just have such strong feelings and emotions about characters in this book and series that I love it so much. And that's the main reason why this book gets 5 stars. The next book on my list is Fireborne by Rosaria Munda, I think. And this one I really, really loved. It is a YA fantasy book that is a bit of like an Anastasia like retelling, or inspired by Anastasia, where one of the main characters is an orphan and his family were like the previous ruling family, and they were all murdered during a revolution. But there's so much to love about this book and series. There's only 2 books out so far. I've read them both. But this series has the found family trope that I love so much. Again, I just love these characters. The world is also so cool, and there are dragons that are used in battle. But yeah, I love the world building, I love the characters and their relationships, and I just had so many feelings while reading this book. And then my second favorite book that I read over the spring and summer is Madship by Robin Hobb, which is the second book in the Liveship Traders series. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but basically I like the second installment in the series slightly more than the first. You just get to know more of the characters, and there's a little more politics happening, or at least I understood more of the politics happening in the second book. Again, I just had so many emotions about these characters. Robin Hobb put some of them really through the ringer, and I know we're not even close to being done with putting characters through the ringer, but she put some of my favorite characters through some really tough times, and there were times I was like so upset. There are, again, characters that I love to hate. You know, basically everything that I said about the first book, but I just enjoyed the second one slightly better, so I put it a little higher on the list. And now I am dying to read the last book in the trilogy, that is Ship of Destiny. I really hope to read it in the next month or so, but definitely before the end of the year. I am really enjoying the Liveship Trader series. I think I like it more than the Farseer trilogy, although I am dying to get back to Fitz and the cast of characters in that series. But I feel like I don't really hear that many people talk about the Liveship Trader trilogy, and I don't know why, because it's really good, and I loved Madship. I liked it a little bit more than Ship of Magic. There is another like live ship that you get to know a little bit better in the second installment, and I really like that live ship a lot. But yeah, there's just lots of politics, found family, and also like family dynamics where like not everybody gets along, and there's like awkward stuff, and there's one family member that I just want to choke all the time because she's very annoying and makes the stupidest decisions. But as you can see, just evoking so many emotions out of me about these characters, and that's what I love about Robin Hobb. And then my favorite book that I read in the spring and the summer was Flamefall by Rosaria Munda. So again, the second book in that series. So the top 4 books are the first 2 books in 2 series, but I just like split them up because for both of the series, I enjoyed the second installment just a little bit more than the first one. But honestly, I loved them all, which is why I give them 5 stars. And sometimes when I am doing these top 5, sometimes I don't all have enough 5 stars to fill the top 5, but even if I do, you know, I like some of them a lot more than the other 5 stars or 4 stars. But these top 4 5 stars are all very close in enjoyment. I just love them so much. The Matt Haig book I did enjoy, but it is on the lower end. It's probably more like a 4.5 that I rounded up to 5. But Flamefall just took Fireborne to another level. Again, I love the characters and the turmoil that they're going through. Basically, you know, I just got to know these characters so well, and when they have struggles in their relationships with each other, I just feel for them. Like, I don't have a side that I'm picking. Like, I just want them both to be happy, or want them all to be happy, but I just identify or understand their reasonings for being upset with the other characters so much that I just like, I can't really pick a side. I totally get why they're upset, or however they feel. And I just think that is so cool that an author can do that to me, make me enjoy and love these characters so much that I see from their point of views and like just totally understand where they're coming from. And on top of that, the plot is good, the politics is good, the world is cool, the dragons, I love the dragons. I really enjoy this series, and I cannot wait until the last book comes out, which I think is sometime next year, like early next year or spring next year, something like that. I'm so glad that I picked up the series this year. I have to thank my friend Elliot Brooks for that, because she has been raving about the series ever since she first read the first one, and she's the reason why I picked up the series, and I'm so glad that I did, because I am really enjoying the series by Rosaria Munda. Alright guys, those are the top 5 books that I read in the spring and summer of 2021. Let me know down in the comment section if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you think of my ranking of these books. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. I promise there's more bookish content coming. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.